again, we're looking at the Elmira Oval. I'm going to start taking it apart, show you how some of the features of the stove, what it's all about. One of the things I want to just say is this area where the stove is installed, this has been prepped. This is a non-combustible wall. The whole stove, even though it's a very tight clearance, to me is safe because of the way I've engineered it. What I'm trying to tell you is, if you had wooden walls and they're not prepped, this wouldn't be a safe installation. So make sure you know what you're doing. We've done a series on reducing clearances to combustibles, so that's your foundation, so you understand if you want to install a stove this way, you need to understand how to do it properly. So anyhow, we're going to start looking at the stove. If you notice, you see the multiple hot plates, and you see there's 3 separate zones on the stove, more or less. You have a little inspection hot plate here. You can load wood, a coal, or whatever, peek inside, see what's going on with your fire. And then you can also load the stove from the front. And to get the stove going, you can open that. It has an ash pan. It's fairly large. There's grates in the bottom. You can change those grates out. Hopefully you can see that. Probably not. You didn't see any of that, what I just did. Sorry about that. As I said, you can load it from the front. It has a sliding grate that slides out. I'll show you how that works. It's got a large pan, cast iron door, heavy cast iron, rope gasketing, no adjustments at all on the door. It's on pins. You lift the pins out to remove the door. No adjustments on the pins, no adjustments on the latch. So, in other words, if your gasket gets bad and you're burning it and your burn times are going down, that's the first place you want to look, because you can't tighten the gaskets up. The gaskets are inset, so it looks like they set well. There's a little draft knob on the door itself. I don't know if you can see those holes. There's holes here. There's a little slide that goes back and forth in the face, and that's how you control your dampers. There's also a couple dampers on the side. They're like cones. You can open them up and close them, and that goes right into the combustion chamber. And open up the top so you guys can see what it's made of. Now, if you had the clearances, there's a handle here and a bolt in the corner. I don't know if you can see that. There's a handle right there and a hole right here. And there's latches, so you can actually lift the top up, the whole entire top, about that far, and you can load wood from the top. So you do have that ability. However, you better have, a 4-story chimney or something, because I'll pull the top off. We'll see how much smoke comes out of there. The issue with this kind of a stove is there's a lot of play, a lot of room for smoke to leak out. So if you have a marginal chimney, you could have a problem. So anyhow, we'll open it up and we'll look at the firebox. And what I mean is, this lifts up like this, back and forth, and normally there's a handle and it latches. Cast iron, I believe. Yep. These are cast iron, they're not welded steel. A little bit warped, not too bad. Okay, now we'll look at the firebox. Like I said, this is a used stove. As you can see, I'll slide that damper for you. Open it like that, so you got a little bit, close it off, open it all the way. Depending on what you're doing, I think there's a coal option. You have a fire brick lining the hot spot on the stove, which is down here. It's cast. It's not something you can pick up at the store. So be very careful, you don't want to break that. And you have two cast iron sides on either side. If you had a boiler option, that would be the boiler, and it would go out the side of the stove, and that's how you would connect. I think you could have two boilers on this, I'm not sure, at one time. It's got a cast iron, this whole side is all cast. Back is cast up here. So everything that's in contact with, you know, the real heat is cast iron. Though the body of the stove is actually tin. So it's not a very heavy stove. So they're counting on these cast iron components, the fire brick, and everything to protect the stove. In other words, if that stuff's broke, do not use your stove. You'll burn a hole through the stove in no time. If everything's intact, you know, the stove is well constructed, it'll work well. We're going to load it with wood, we're going to see how it burns. Now I'm going to show you the oven and lift off this cast iron here for you. And I think this is the damper slide here on top. So what you do is you close this off, and it forces the smoke, I'm sure you can see that, on the back of the stove. It opens this damper here. So if you're just using the stove, the smoke goes up here and out. Hottest place on the stove, above the firebox, and right here on this one hot plate. That's the three hottest spots. So if you want to use the oven, shut this, and what it does is it pulls the smoke down the side of the oven. Hopefully you can see down there that gap. That's where your smoke gets pulled down. And then it goes under the oven and then out through the flue and up. So it requires a good chimney draft for it to work. If you don't have a good chimney draft, the chances are smoke will leak out of the top. So we're going to try the stove. We're going to burn it ourselves. We'll find out. So you guys will actually get to witness this and see how it does. This is Woody from Obadiah's, and we'll talk to you later.